We're joined on the program this morning by Mr. Omoyele Sowore. A lot of people know him as an activist, but he's also a politician, a presidential candidate of AAC in the 2023 election, and a publisher as well. Good morning, Mr. Sowore. Welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning. Happy New Year to your crew here.
I wish you the same, Mr. Sowore. It's good to see you in Lagos.
Yes.
I must say, for a lot of people, wait, Lagos? What is going on? But let's start first things first. For a lot of political leaders, they always do this New Year message. They have a message where they wish their supporters and the nation a new year, and then there's a direction for them. You know, they always target this year, this is what will happen. We've not seen you do that. What's your New Year message to your people?
Well, it depends on what you do and who you are. If you really never stopped last year, you just kind of migrate to the New Year's, doing what you know how to do best. The New Year was not just a new year for people like us in terms of the calendar. It was a period that things were happening. On, I think, December 25th, this country got hit with missiles from the U.S. And by January 1st, one of the most significant events on the global stage happened, which was the kidnapping of Maduro from Caracas. So I have been just rolling along with events happening in Nigeria, such that I'm not like a priest who has to give you prophecies. I just speak along, I transition you from one day to the other, and just let you know that we never slept, we didn't go anywhere, which is, yeah. So for us, it's a calendar.
Right. The work continues.
Yes.
There's really no New Year-ish. No. Okay, I just wanted to get that out of the way. Of course, for a lot of presidential candidates, politicians, they usually do that. In this year, I want to wish my supporters the very best. This is a year of this and that. But let's talk about the real issues. Yes. Nigeria, as you mentioned, is facing lots of challenges, particularly when it comes to insecurity.
Yes.
We're just still discussing and reeling from what played out in Niger State, in Kasuandaji Market, a Borgo local government area. We understand that they've counted 55 bodies, and the president has released a statement. The government has also said, well, it follows the bombardment happening in Sokoto. So that is what happened. That's what led to this, Sokoto, Kebbi, then we have Niger State. For you, what is missing in this whole puzzle of trying to fix insecurity in Nigeria?
So many people want to make us feel that the insecurity in the country is some Byzantine affair, that you just don't know where to hold it from. But what's been lacking, and as I've always said, is leadership. And when you talk about leadership, it means that there's somebody at the top who is giving direction, directives, and who is organizing, who is synchronizing all the pieces for, regarding insecurity. That's missing. And what you just then have is different sections of the security agencies in the country doing whatever they want and whatever they like. And this is fueled by incompetence, it's fueled by corruption, and it's fueled by their inability to work together. So you can imagine, till today, Nigeria was bombed by the U.S. on December 25th.
Well, it was 24th our time, the 25th the U.S. time.
Yes, well, we woke up to it. Yeah. They call it a Christmas Day.
Exactly.
Gift to Nigeria. Nobody, at the highest level of security in the country, including the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, has come out to tell you what happened. Where did the bombs land? Who did they target? Was there any mop-up operation after that? All you had, as you just mentioned, is that, there's bombardment in Sokoto and the bad guys just moved down to Niger. How do you bombard people not making preparation for where they'll go next, and how to ensure that they don't get past the perimeter that you must have put in place for them? The other part that's missing is, intelligence gathering. And again, it comes to leadership. Nobody can tell you in this small country, Nigeria, because I hate when people refer to Nigeria as a big country. Nigeria is not big. Nigeria is just one state. The size of Nigeria is less than Alaska in the U.S. Nigeria is just twice the size of California. And here we are, country of 200 million people. plenty of security agencies. Nobody can tell you who is moving where. And it is because also we have refused to modernize. And what is modernity in terms of, modern warfare? It's the use of drones, The only time we heard that we had a drone, it crashed somewhere in, I think, Yobe State recently, which tells you that it's probably not a real drone, or maybe they went and bought a used drone in Europe and brought it here. Incompetence. I'm not saying that these things don't happen even in some of the most sophisticated stages. So, and then on top of this, you have complete silence regarding the location of the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And then they came out with a picture yesterday of the man having lunch with Kagame, which is now also in dispute, that it could have been an AI-generated photograph, or they were trying to enhance it and forgot how to use it. And over 50 people die in Yobe. No statement from the, from the office of the president. Until, of course, yesterday when I challenged them, I said, you don't have a president. We don't know where he is. Almost immediately they started reacting. So that tells you that the country is pilotless. I don't want to say that Nigeria is on autopilot, because autopiloting is actually a sophisticated mode of flying a plane. So you can't reduce Nigeria to autopilot. If Nigeria were to be on autopilot, it would be doing better than the kind of pilots we have now. So what this tells you is that you're lacking in leadership in all facets of your life. Everybody's just trying to get by, and we then react to events that suits our fancy or that excites us the most, 2 people die with on the convoy with Attorney Joshua. It dominates the news. 52 people died in Yobe, or
Niger.
Niger. We don't really care, because those ones are just statistics.
Then 29 died.
And then 29, capsized in the boat. We don't really care. And I was watching the state emergency official who was here. I don't want to castigate him, but this is very puerile, the way he's reacting. Maybe they should use, life jackets or not. We don't know whether there's a marine police in the area and all that. You don't play with life in that manner. And then when 29 people, all the people that died in Caracas, that's become a major global news, or 24, according to records that we have. And we're still talking about it since January 1st. And we're forgotten about the 29 and the 52 that died here. Nobody knows where the terrorists came from. Nobody knows where they're headed next. And Kogi, Kwara is still in the throes on a daily basis, in the throes of kidnapping and terrorism. And we're just here hoping that it doesn't happen to us. And that is not how to run a country. I'm not saying this just so that I can fulfill the quota of people who come on your shows to condemn the government. I'm just saying realistically that we are in a deep mess in this country, and it's no longer a joke.
So for you, if I understand you very well, this is not a problem of capacity, it's a problem of leadership failure. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Because when you talk about the capacity of the security agencies to respond to the issues that we're talking about, we have men who can at least go out there. But the question you should ask yourself is, are your men going after terrorists? That is the security agencies. Or are they going after TikTokers, which is, complete loss of priority? Didn't we talk about last year that we are withdrawing policemen so that they can go to the front lines to confront what policemen should do? No, if they withdrew anybody, just a few people, and they are back to work. In fact, there was a joke towards the end of the year about policemen who were asked to withdraw from VIP duties, who went and started dressing like hunters. Some of them, wearing suits so that they can, evade scrutiny. And some of them were asked to return their guns, and they went and paid bribes and got it back. So that's the issue, and that you see the reason why people like me always get so upset. I get into trouble every day with this, because one of the issues I can't forgive about Nigeria is that you have the Nigeria police of about 350,000 people, men and women, who are not put to productive use. So you end up having these policemen just extorting money on the highways, we have not advanced to the stage, or we have not even scaled to the point that police can do police work. Or wherever we scale, the police work they're doing is anti-policing. So I don't go after the regular policeman, I go after their boss. And he was so upset with me, I got arrested 4 times last year. And the one in Lagos, the Joker in Lagos, declared me wanted because they know that these are the real issues that should be discussed. Because if you have the policing right, the internal security of the country will be taken care of. What am I trying to say? If I'm driving a car with somebody in my trunk, kidnapped from Lagos, with proper policing, I shouldn't get past in front of your station here, because somebody would detect that.
How?
Yes.
How do you think they will detect that?
Well, you know,
through a checkpoint.
It's not by checkpoints. You see, one of the most important things that policemen use in detecting crime is psychology. You know, if a policeman sees you, a proper policeman sees you, and you are acting strange, they'll stop. You don't need roadblocks to do that. We have roadblocks, but the roadblocks are not meant to block crime. They are meant to extort. You should get that clear.
The revenue collection points.
It's not revenue in the sense that it doesn't go to the federal government. There's some, you see them all the time. Now they even give change when they collect bribe, depending on who is bribing them. Policemen on the highway I was on the Lagos Shagamu or Lagos Road before New Year's Day. Those policemen on the highway will accept anything. I saw policemen who were given drinks, and they were putting it aside and waving at the person who gets. So if that
Christmas,
maybe that's their own way of getting their own hampers on the highway. But what is most terrible about it is that when I was growing up, and I first came to Lagos in 1986 from Ondo State, police checkpoints had first warning, placards. And then by the time you get to the checkpoint itself, it says very clearly. But today, the police checkpoint is a crime scene. They'll go into the bush and get a timber log, place it on the highway the same way kidnappers will stop you. They have these very small planks that are meant to destroy your tires. It's a crime scene, and nobody's doing anything about it. And we're in a country in 2026, for God's sakes, and we just think this is normal. And when they stop you, they're not trying to stop crime. They are enhancing criminal activity. But they've
also recorded some success story without trying to speak for them in that sense. But where I'm going to with my next question will
You should have spoken about the success stories first.
Of course, we can't continue to reel out everything. There's some of the botches they've done, some of the recoveries.
I just want to know so I can get updated.
Some of the recoveries they've done. But I've spoken to some persons in the military, for instance, if we go back to military and armed forces, and one of the things they complain about is prioritizing the security sector. Because I put the question across to them that Nigeria is running a budget of 2026, our budget is about $40 billion. There are countries in up north who have bigger GDP, smaller, maybe slightly the same or around the same GDP, who are spending a lot more on security. But our own is just about 5.4, and they say most of this money is going to personnel costs, allegations around those personnel costs, because it's not easy to trace how it is spent because it's personnel, so it's easy. But when you do capital project, so little is left to build capacity for equipment and all of that. So the question I want to find out from you is, wherein lies the problem here? Is it in inability, just like I asked them, inability to spend the money right, or we just don't have the money to do the kind of security architecture we're supposed to have?
No, it's mostly about their refusal to spend the money for what it's meant for. And the biggest problem within the security sector, budgeting and expenditure, is opaqueness. Because one of the things they'll tell you is that, we can't disclose to you what we are spending on because we are spending on security, which is a lie. What we should find out is at the end of the year, what did we budget for and what did we spend on? The moment you can't find that, you know where money went. It went into private pockets. That is why you have most of the Nigerian Army General Security leadership, who are some of the richest people in the country. There is no question about it that they are pilfering, they are looting the security sector funds. We have seen in this country former leadership of the Nigerian Air Force, Navy, all of them who became billionaires in this country. There were people who were hiding money in their soakaways and their tankers. So we have seen that, and it hasn't stopped. To check on these people, go into Abuja and know who are the people who are making money in the real estate sector. Who are building and investing. Most of these generals. One of them even had Yerima, who was fighting Wike over land. The Naval guy who ahead is retired now. It's one of the richest guys in Nigeria. So what does that tell you? Money made for purchase of equipment, quaffed. Money made for personnel, quaffed. So it goes into private pockets. And they can't defend that, and they keep asking for more, there's nothing wrong with that. But you must account for what has been budgeted and spent first before we start talking. Now, what did you buy? And where did it go? So if you're in the police sector, for instance, and you're budgeted for vehicles, and then it ends up that it's the governor of a state that bought all the vehicles for you, then you have probably mismanaged or misappropriated monies meant for purchase of vehicles. If you're buying vehicles every year, let's say 200 vehicles for the police force, I would imagine that an average Hilux would last for 2 or 3 years, right? So 200 times 4 years would be a lot of vehicles on the highway, like police vehicles. So you ask yourself, where do they go? And in some cases and in some states, you have security funds, that are put together a huge amount of money to purchase vehicles, equipment, to equip police, but you don't see them. Anytime you meet a police vehicle, van in this town, you want to cry because it's always the worst that they put on the highway.
And now that the president has said we're purchasing, is it 20 plus, 24 Leonardo M346 FA fighter jets, we're expecting that. I'm sure that you probably expect some sort of relief when those things land.
You see, this is part of why I say, these guys are obsolete in their thinking. If I'm president of Nigeria, I'm not buying a jet anymore.
Like a manned jet?
Yes, I'm buying unmanned area vehicles. I want to invest in
They are
drones.
super expensive. That's why
they're pretty expensive, but they're more effective because you can just have 5 persons operate 10 drones. Are you getting my point? Let me tell you, even the drones that they buy for 2,000 naira, $2,000, I have 2 of them, but and they get seized all the time. They can cover 4-kilometer radius, within 20 minutes. That is to say, if I have 10 in Ondo State and I have operators, and I hear there's a kidnapper working in the bush, I can use that drone to at least track them for a while until the police can then conduct their cordon. It can go 4 kilometers, and there are not too many forests that are longer than, let's say, 10 kilometers in terms of thickness. And some of these small, inexpensive drones, I'm not saying that's what you should use, cost you $2,000. And if you buy 100 of them for a state, you'll be doing a marvelous job.
Well,
I'm just saying, so
obviously.
I want to go global by explaining to you. The fight between Israel and Iran has shown to you that the Air Force is on its way to retirement. You can stay in your country. You can take over my airspace, and I don't have to have a single jet.
The same with
Russia. You can have your F-35, and if I have very capable drones, I'll get to you.
Yeah, and the same with Russia and Ukraine.
So if you're still buying, some fancy, fighter jets that you have to train people for 5 years to use, you're not likely to get replacement parts on time, you're wasting your time. That's why I said somewhere, if I'm president of Nigeria, I won't have a minister of defense. My minister of defense will be a drone, or several of them.
Interesting. Yes. And this just takes us to the next question.
Very unconventional idea.
Yes.
Very. And it talks about the politics that will then produce the policies, the governance that we're seeing right now. It is defection season. And I wonder if the AAC is accepting any defectors.
No, you see, You know, the reason I'm laughing is because I talk a lot about these gerrymanderers and carpetbaggers who are politicians, whose only stock in trade is moving from one homeless shelter to the other. And it wasn't popular in 2022 because there are people who were carried away by the Labour Party, which I described at that time as the most famous Airbnb in the world, you know. And now the people who went to the Labour Party have also moved. They have moved into another homeless shelter known as the ADC. It is not principled politics to keep moving around, to be PDP at night and the next morning you wake up, you are APC. It's opportunism, and AAC can never be involved in that. We are a party of very principled, ideological, and idealist people, and we want to change the country. We're not looking for defectors. We are looking for people who are capable of changing the narrative in this country, and we have a lot of them, but of course we are open to more. Let me just tell you, the people who are defecting to the APC, the people of Nigeria are not defecting with them. They are defecting based on their own sentiments. Some of them are defecting because they have problems. You know, they have problems with security agencies, financial crimes commissions. Some of them are defecting because they are broke. We don't have those kind of problems in the AAC.
What about those moving to the ADC?
They are also homeless politicians who are coming from, some of them will still come back to the APC. Yes.
But are Nigerians moving with them to the APC?
No, that's where it is exciting. And that's why we're calling on Nigerians, because there are 82 million registered voters officially as of now. I think there are more now, because I think INEC has added some names. So, and if you have that, and only 27 million people voted the last time, or about 30 million, give or take, you still have an excess of about 60 to 70 million people. We are comfortable with the people that haven't voted, who have not defected anywhere, but who are lacking in conviction or, you know, or interest in the political system because it's disappointing. To say, come with us, we can, you know, we can allow the defectors and the re-defectors and the deflectors to keep moving back and forth like the Nigerian bubu they call agbada. So when you carry one up, the other side drops. And we can work with the people who seriously want a country that works for them.
I think we must
and we also believe that there are people who are defecting now when they see serious political organization platforms. They will go to those ones. But what we will not entertain is the drama of defection. You know, like one of the things I hate most is to see people say, "Oh, we've moved again." They're just going to hire a crowd and they'll have a big party, and then when it's over, you discover that nobody defected.
Mr. Sowore, that looks like the norm. But I must commend you for being consistent.
Yes.
For holding on to your conviction, which is what every person who wants to build democracy should have. Ideological differences should make you not to be able to go. I was studying the CCP, the China People's Party, and I saw that to join that party is almost like going for your master's degree. Not any character.
Political parties is like a university degree.
To join that party is, in fact, there are no guarantees, even after 5 years, that you are going to be a member of the party. But this is my concern. With strong conviction, with keeping the fight on, especially you being the front runner of the AAC, you still don't have elected officials, to the best of my knowledge, right now.
Well, that's not true, but you said to the best of your knowledge.
To the best of my knowledge, or significant, let me use the word, significant elected officials. So I'm talking maybe House of Assembly members, or the chairman of local government, and all of that. What are you doing to go beyond the way the party is now, to begin to clinch offices, knowing the dynamics of Nigerian politics? Because it looks like the Nigerian people would like to rally around people that they already see in position to be able to, you know, get into the space. Like Harada said, it is politics that now decides the policies.
Well, we have elected officials, but not to the point that I'll sit there and say I'm proud of it.
How many do you have?
You know, during off-season elections this last year, there were 2 local government councillors. I'm just putting that out there, and they came from the northern part of the country, by the way. But that is not where we want to be. I agree with you. But we also don't want to be in the place that the Yorubas call the bad 12 years, you know. And every...
You have to define that or translate that for
yeah,
people
so
who don't...
translated in English is an all-comers affair, because we have seen it before. It hasn't worked for anybody. If it worked, I keep saying, one of the things I was accused of in 2018 when I ran is you don't have experience. And I will say to them, including on this channel, that the most experienced, the people who should be the most experienced people are the people who were military presidents who had the chance several years later and became civilian, presidents. What did they give you? Death and destruction. And then, what is experience in life? The experience I have is what I have been to you and what I represent. That is what they call experience. But some people take experience to mean how much suffering they have endured and how much more suffering they want to endure. That is their own practical definition of experience. So what I'm trying to say is that we're there, we are providing the opportunity for you to change course and for good. If you decide to stick with your former abusers, well, probably we can't do much about it. But we are the only political party today in this country that's doing what you mentioned earlier, political education. A lot of people have joined political party, but one of the conditions for sticking with us, for trusting you, is to undergo political education immediately after you join. So we have several groups. So I will define to you what the AAC is about.
So when should we start saying, because when I look at your party, what resonates with me is I'm seeing that the EFF of the parliament in South Africa, we should have your kind of political party in the National Assembly that will be shaking the tables, as they like to call it, because that is, I'm just giving my own analogy.
I understand.
Now we don't have you, so we see you, we're not in doubt of your advocacy and your campaign. You see, every day you're fighting fighting for police, and police is fighting you and all of that.
Yes.
So we need it to be in a space where you can make decisions and it stands.
So without disregarding your position about the EFF, I don't want to shake tables. I want to break tables. And that's what we're about. We are a revolutionary party. We don't want to change the country halfway and then leave the other half to the people who come and repair the tables and break your head on it. We want to completely, clean out the space. And it might take time, and you realize that, and you are now accepting it as given, that we've been around long enough not to be taken as pushovers. But it might be strategic on our part that we don't want to be part of the political process in which, like the Labour Party, you have people elected in the National Assembly and the Senate, governors, and the day they got sworn in, they went and rejoined their former colony. So that's not what we are. When the change comes, they will come either by ballot or by revolution. And that's what we don't hide. The AAC is a party that introduced revolution now to this country in 2019, and we have consistently stayed course. And there was even an attempt to deregister the party. There are only 18 political parties in Nigeria. When AAC was registered, there were 79 political parties. A lot of them, you don't remember their names anymore. There are 18 today, and we're one of them, but we are the only political party that is different from the rest of them. So that's something you must know as a given. It's now up to the Nigerian people, and we can't force that to follow us to that promised land that they've always been asking for.
There's a lot more issues to raise, particularly what's playing outside the country. But just quickly, would you be running for president in 2027?
This is a tricky question. The party decides who runs for president.
But has that ever changed? You're the chairman of your party and consistently within the presidential candidate.
The party decides who is the chairman of the party. But that's not true. I want to correct something. There was a time the party was taken over and somebody was chairman for 3 years. That's not Sowore. But most people don't remember that because they see me as the face of the party.
But consistently you've been the chairman and the presidential candidate. That's
what I just corrected. The party that has existed for 5 years, maybe 7 years, 2018, and this 2026.
Right.
For 3 years, somebody else was party chairman.
But for those times, you've always been the presidential candidate.
I've only run twice.
Yes.
I ran less than Atiku.
I saw this coming. No, I'm talking about the AAC now, and here's my point.
Yes.
Is anything going to be different in the AAC? In fact, when I asked you that, are you going to be receiving defectors? Yeah. There was a conversation, and people said, why aren't people moving to AAC? And
you don't know.
Just a second.
Yes.
Why aren't people moving to the AAC? That's also another
maybe why aren't the popular ones?
Right. It's not true. It's not true.
It's like maybe the context should be why aren't the popular ones?
Of course, that's why I'm speaking to the major ones. But here's the point. Because the AAC
is not engaging in drama of defection.
I get it. But here's my point.
But more people have registered with AAC in the last 1 year than any political party. Can you believe that? That we have a website where more people
have registered?
Yes, have registered with AAC than any political party. Online.
Do you want to put a figure to that?
I can give it back, but I don't have it in front because right as we're here, people are joining. Not only are they joining, they are paying the party membership of 1,000 naira as they join.
Brilliant.
That is commitment.
Brilliant. So,
let me tell you something before you go further. That when we were asked to submit membership register in 2022, prior to the presidential election, AAC was, INEC confessed to us that AAC was the only political party that has a membership register, that has all the components, name, phone numbers. The rest couldn't produce it. Do you know what they did for the APC to get a member? INEC went and used voters registration, documentation and data to help APC create its own membership register. I have said this, they've never denied it. Because just as you are seeing them defecting up and down, you cannot find somebody at the corner registering the new members. Because this drama is just to confuse the public.
They started their e-registration.
But do you know their website? Can you tell me APC's website here?
I'll Google it.
Oh, you see.
Well,
probably it's dead.
But here's my.
But ours is aacparty.org.
Okay,
you just did
that free of charge, which is good.
Yes.
I know there are a lot of people who have supported you, who see you as a different brand in that sense. But there's always that concern that, what is going to happen if Sowore is a president? Just picture it. The first week of your presidency, what is it going to be like? You say you want to break the table. Yeah. I am watching our table and I'm beating the table.
Not this type of table.
What is the first week of a Sowore presidency going to look like?
It would be a first week of general awareness of dignity. For the first time, you feel like you're a Nigerian. For the first time, you feel like you've come to a country that has respect for you, and you find people who have come to roll up their sleeves and start working from day one. You are not going to find a Sowore presidency in which the first week you heard from nobody and you don't know where you're going. And I've said it and I'll repeat it again. My priorities are plenty from the first day, but one of it is to turn on electricity in Nigeria. It will be my first priority, because it will have impact on security. Because, part of our problem now is that our own idea of security is physical security. How you can put a gate and, gatesman and all that. But the biggest and the most important part of security is social security. The moment people have food on their tables, they can send their children to school, they can get jobs and, have access to health care, they'll feel more secure than anybody else. There will be less crime if there's electricity, by the way. There will be less crime if our infrastructure is in place. It is unlikely that if you have a highway from Lagos to Port Harcourt that is dual carriageway, clean, has electricity, lights everywhere, that kidnapper will feel more comfortable to come on the highway. Or that I have a fast train that can take you to Port Harcourt in 2 hours. Most likely, it could be derailed. I can't say it won't be, but it won't be that somebody will just go and wait with some relic they call gun and shoot at it. Because that's the future. So, and when you do all this, one of the things I say about the Sowore presidency is that from day one, I'll turn Nigeria to a construction site. If you want to work, there'll be work for you. Whether it's physical or mental work or academic work or intellectual work, you get it.
But quickly, what week will you start arresting perceived corrupt people?
The week that will start, the corrupt people will start turning themselves in from day one. Okay. Nobody's going to get arrested. If you know the gravity of your crime, you just turn yourself in. It's a joke, because I want us to also be serious about this, that arresting people is not nation building. right? Because you can arrest as many people as you want, and your government will just be known for arresting people and doing nothing.
All right. Yes. So let's talk about policy before we let you go. So for the record, APC has a website, a very fine website. So you can
how can you register there?
No, there's I'm just fact checking. So join APC is here. There's a place for join APC.
Jeffrey, are you joining APC?
No.
So what's the?
Well, where did I press now? Where I've left it.
The URL, just so that he knows the URL is.
APC dot something. I just showed it now.
It's APC dot something.
No,
but it's there.
It's there. It's there.
So what I'm trying to tell you is that.
No, I wanted to go to my apc.com.ng.
Okay.
I don't know what I went to press. So there's a place to choose. So.
You also have to figure out who owns this website.
It could be
a Renew Hope agenda.
But I can see updates. I can see some of the updates to see that they are.
For instance, if you go on Twitter, APC used to have more than one handle. There used to be APC Nigeria.
We're talking about
now they say it's official APC. So now we're talking about what I'm saying to you is that if you go to their website and register, which you haven't tried, you will know whether they.
I'm not trying to register. I'm just trying to pull out their website.
You're a journalist. You can try to register with a dummy name and see if it works. But what I was telling you is that we have a very interactive website where people have been joining, and I can provide you data to show that people have been joining the AAC. But the one that we don't engage in is the drama of defection.
No problem. So let's talk about policy.
Yes.
If there's anything that is clear about Bola Tinubu, the president, he has taken out every subsidy that can imagine. Fuel subsidy is gone. Some part of electricity subsidy. What was called defending the naira, we can translate it to subsidy in some sense, and all of these things. So when other people criticize the government, because the government says there was really no option, the economy was about to tank, so they had to take out this wage bill, and the people had to go through the pain they are going through because there's a gain in the future. That's the narrative.
Yes.
What alternative would you have done, provided, given the scenario they had met? Because it's also important we start talking about what would you have done differently.
I always love that question, and I've always answered them. What we must be honest about is that they claim to have taken subsidy, but last year, by the end of last year, we discovered massive amount of subsidy that was provided by the NNPC in trillions. I think over 10 trillion naira was spent on subsidy. They may not have called this subsidy, but they're subsidizing the petroleum sector. And that has come out as, it's evident that they lied. And one of the reasons they told us that subsidy will do is that it will immediately bring about a different economic space, and that we'll see rising job in the job sector. We will have infrastructural development, the healthcare system will be taken care of. That hasn't happened because what happened is they took the subsidy from the poor and gave the subsidy to the rich.
But the states are being paid more.
Well, where have you seen the impact of the payment? Paying state money is political patronage of paying state governors who merely convert the money to dollar.
Or let me rephrase that, the states get more from
exactly. How would I have acted differently? I would have kept subsidy, but I would have taken out the stealing of subsidy money, which I know how to do, because I was one of the people who revealed all the subsidy scammers while I was still actively doing so as a reporter under Goodluck Jonathan. I was one of the first to reveal the $2.something billion that was stolen from the Office of the National Security Advisor to do elections in 2015. Starting from 2014. So I know how to follow the money, and in doing that, we would have completely taken out the people who live off of subsidy. But in taking subsidy from the person who is just doing a small business, because you saw immediately they removed subsidy, that prices of goods and services went up, price of food went up, poverty increased exponentially in the country. That is not policy, that is punishment. So I'm not going to be president of Nigeria who punishes people. It sounds great when they tell you the theory, But what you should ask yourself, in removing subsidy and claiming that you get more money, you lose the value of your naira. So you can have volume in terms of the numbers. You'll be hearing trillion, but what could the trillion of 2014 buy, and what could your trillion of 2026 buy? That's the question that most people don't want to ask. That's what they don't like to be asked. Is what did you do to the naira that you met at 400 naira and is now at 1,430 as of today officially? But if you ask them to say, well, it has been stable, and they're not subsidizing, but I can tell you today they're also still subsidizing the naira.
We can actually go on and on that conversation, because the government has spoken about this time and again, back and forth. But I want us to move beyond the happenings in Nigeria. I think we'll have a lot of time to still speak to it and talk about the global, the biggest global issue right now, America's action in Venezuela. For a lot of people, they say, you know what, just allow things in the Western Hemisphere play out. We are in Africa, leave us to our own. ECOWAS has released a statement. A lot of world leaders have said, we are watching the situation closely. Some have stopped short of condemning U.S. actions for a lot of reasons, right? But when you see what played out there, I know you've put out a statement about it. When you see what played out, and it's still playing out in Venezuela, how is in New York? I mean, see the images when they were just bringing the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, from the aircraft. This happened days after the airstrike in Nigeria. Right. In fact, the U.S. president said that this was meant to have happened in 2025, but they kept shifting it up until January the 3rd of weather and all of that. Are you concerned that as much as this has a global impact, does it have a Nigerian possible impact, either remotely or not?
Oh, it does, because right now, the number of countries that were struck in 2025 Nigeria happened to be one of the prominent countries. And there's been this threat by Donald Trump against Nigerian leadership. Everything I'm saying here doesn't support the lackluster leadership here. But what I do not support is hypocrisy. And the fact that wherever America intervened, they intervene without exception for personal gain. Because I lived there for 20 years, and I can tell you that they're not here because they want to save Christians. Donald Trump is not even a Christian by any standard. I don't think the guy knows how to read a verse of the Bible. But they use Christianity to fool people. My position from the beginning is that it's the leadership of Nigerian people that can solve their own problems, not just this exceptional intervention or esoteric intervention by Donald Trump. Donald Trump bombed Nigeria on Christmas Day. I'm still waiting here to count the dead bodies. But it is not the job of the U.S. to come and bomb your country. In fact, it's an insult for the U.S. to just wake up one day, count the number of countries they bomb and decide to add Nigeria to it. I detest that because it doesn't promote the integrity or the territorial integrity of the country. And I know a lot of people will argue that what is sovereignty? We just need help. But be careful where you get your help from. And already in Venezuela, Donald Trump has come to declare that he didn't change the regime there because he felt the Venezuelans are suffering. We want your oil, and they've been drinking our oil forever. Hasn't done any good to us. We have sacrificed Ken Saro-Wiwa to them. And I don't really care what happens to these Nigerian leaders, but I care that whatever happens here is our own doing and is not the intervention of a racist regime from the U.S. who doesn't care about. I don't think Donald Trump knows where Nigeria is located on a world map. If he put a world map in, he would probably point at South Africa and say, that's Nigeria. They don't care about you. They don't care about blacks in their own country or their own hemisphere, but they care about dominating the world. And the other thing that people must understand is that this their own low-key resumption of the Cold War. They see China entering here. They don't want China here. And if they see that any government is pro-China or pro-Russia, they want to deal with you because they want everybody to line up behind the U.S. And that's why, we always say, build your country. Because if you had a nuke, nobody will mess with you.
Yeah, of course. But we don't have the balance of terror. We have 1 more minute to go, so you can help us. I would like your comment on the new tax law. Full implementation has started as we speak. Of course, there are so many controversies around what was gazetted against what was passed and all of that. What do you make of it?
Anybody that taxes poverty will reap resistance. because Nigerians are just too poor right now. What I have always proposed is that we expand our tax base, not to increase taxes, because we are not doing well in terms of, how much taxes we are collecting. I think we are 17%. A lot of countries around Africa are 20%. So it is that increase of how far we go that is important, not to tax the people who are already overtaxed.
But they say they're not taxing the poor. They have their data to show for it.
They don't, anytime you see data presented by these guys, just take them as statistics, lies, damn lies, and lies. So you never get anything correct from them. At the end of the day, there will be resistance. And of course, you've heard already that the tax regime that came into effect is not the one the National Assembly had passed. So a tax system that starts with fraud is not taxation, it is extortion.
Well, I'll just leave the National Assembly to do all of the defending and all of that. But
I'm not a fan of the National Assembly. Nothing will come out of their...
We have to anchor now, but a statement has been released to that effect. They've released the copies of it. But again, the onus is on the National Assembly to show us the process, and whatever was inserted by whoever should be revealed. But Mr. Omoyele Sowore, we have to thank you so much for your time and for seeing you in Lagos. We hope we do this more often.
He's not been arrested.
It's been a pleasure.
I'm always available.
With Mr. Omoyele Sowore, the presidential candidate of AAC in the 2023 election and the publisher of SAR Reporters. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me here.
We'll take a quick break now, and when we return, we'll really give you an analysis of the events between the United States, Venezuela, and whether you call it the Western Hemisphere or the whole global hemisphere. That's in a moment. Stay with us.